This presentation will be discussing classroom assessment techniques, also known as CATs. How does this transfer to the online classroom?
This presentation is by Emily Bergquist and Rick Holbeck.
We first want to begin with some foundations of what CATs are by discussing the definition and a little history of classroom assessment techniques.
Classroom assessment techniques can be thought of as formative assessments in the classroom, basically to check for understanding of the students before they get to their summative assessment.
Before we dive a little deeper, we want to discuss the difference between a summative and formative assessment. A summative assessment is typically the end result, such as a quiz, an exam, or perhaps an actual assignment. The formative assessment, which is what we will be discussing throughout our classroom assessment techniques presentation, is that feedback device that is meant to be ongoing throughout the course prior to that end result.
The purpose of CATs is really to catch the issues before the assignment or before the exam and reteach the students so that they are successful in the summative assessment. It also assesses whole class understanding, gives us options for participation, and is tailored to content-specific outcomes.
In practicing the use of classroom assessment techniques, or CATs, instructors are able to be proactive rather than reactive in assessing their whole class's understanding and tailoring their instruction to the student's needs as a whole.
Our drive for this presentation is to show that research involving CATs within the traditional classroom has been well documented, but we have not seen much research in the area of the online classroom.
The core of this presentation will discuss the following 3 points. We will identify CATs that can be modified to meet the needs of online instructors and students. We will formulate modifications of Angelo and Cross's CATs techniques within an online classroom. And we will also include strategies for transitioning traditional CATs into online education.
During phase 1 of the presentation, we're going to show you how to create classroom assessment techniques. There are 3 steps to creating classroom assessment techniques. First, you need to review overall course objectives. Next, you would identify a specific assessable question. And third, it is time to select or create the proper CAT. Looking at the link below, you can find 50 different CATs that were used by Angelo and Cross. They were used for a traditional classroom setting, but we have found that many of them are very good for the classroom as well.
Here are a few examples that online instructors have found beneficial. The muddiest point requires very little teacher preparation and is also extremely flexible. Please take a moment to stop the presentation and watch this short video about the muddiest point. Here is an actual example from the online classroom that an instructor has found successful using the muddiest point.
KWL charts are often seen in a traditional classroom, but we have found they are also very effective in the online classroom as well. This is an easy way to check with students what they already know, what they want to know, and what they learned. The following are specific examples of this used in an actual online classroom.
Another extremely flexible CAT is called the 1-minute summary. This is also referred to as the minute paper by Angelo and Cross. This provides immediate mid-course feedback. It provides quick response to students, and it can be used cross-curricular across many various content areas. And it's perhaps the most frequently used CAT. This is an example of how it has been used in the online classroom.
Classroom opinion polls are designed to assist teachers in developing students' attitudes, opinions, values, and self-awareness within the course curriculum. We have also found that can be used with tools such as SurveyMonkey and Poll Anywhere, or maybe some of the tools are already built into your learning management system. Here is a specific way that this has been used in the online classroom.
Angelo and Cross have created these 8 questions to ask yourself when creating a CAT for your classroom. These also can be utilized in the online classroom when developing your own CATs.
Now it is time to test your creation. At this time you would want to check your CATs by looking at all 3 of these to make sure that it works. Complete the assessment task yourself or ask a colleague to do it. Be sure it's doable and time effective for you and the students, and also plan how you will analyze the responses.
Now that you have thoroughly tested your CAT, it's time for phase 3, implementation. These 5 steps should be utilized when implementing a CAT into the online classroom. Angelo and Cross state that you should first let students know beforehand. You want to make sure that your students understand what you are doing and why. In addition to this, you want to ensure that all directions are clear. Finally, let students know how much time this task will take, and make sure to allot yourself time to review and provide substantive feedback to student responses. Here is an example of how you might want to inform your students ahead of time as to when you're going to be implementing these checks or spot checks. You can see this is actually a welcome message that a faculty has used to instruct that they're using these spot checks on a weekly basis.
Now that we've learned more about CATs, here are some testimonials from people who have used them in the online classroom. Henderson, 2001, found that after posting CATs in the classroom, the number of posts as well as the substantiveness of the post increased dramatically. Here is a video also that gives an example of all of the benefits of CATs in the classroom. You may pause the presentation this time to watch the video.
Throughout your implementation, be sure to keep these tips in mind for success. If you don't like a CAT or it does not appeal to your intuition, then don't use it. Make sure that CATs are not a chore or a burden to you or your student. Also, make sure that you yourself have previously tried to use this CAT before implementing it to your students. And finally, be sure to close the loop. By that, we mean to make sure that you inform students of the outcomes from your classroom assessment technique and share the results.
As Emily mentioned, we do need to close the loop. We do this by responding to the CATs, and we provide feedback to our students. We need to think about the how, what, and when, close the feedback loop, and let the students know that their participation will make a difference in teaching and in their learning.
Following your responses after using your classroom assessment technique, make sure that you are analyzing your student responses. You'll do this in grouping categorical student responses. You'll communicate those results with your students, and then you take the data to inform future instruction.
In conclusion, we have found that classroom assessment techniques have been very beneficial in the online classroom, just like they are in the traditional classroom. Using CATs in the classroom will increase student engagement as well as increase the student learning outcomes.
Rick and I both thank you for taking the time and viewing our presentation to learn a little bit more about classroom assessment techniques. We wish you the best of luck in your future classes.